All right, so the next portion we'll talk about is the a voltage adjust. Okay, so there's a knob here, and when you turn the knob, the voltage changes on the output. So you can set it to 0 volts or set it to plus 30 volts and anything in between. Okay, so how can you build something that has a variable voltage output, right? And that's kind of in this part of the circuit, but we're going to redraw it, so don't worry about this circuit right now. It'll be too confusing right now, so ignore this for a while. Let's talk about some concepts first, okay? Let's talk about an op amp. So here we have an op amp, and we have a variable resistor here, and so we have a voltage divider, and we can set any voltage we want. So if we turn this and we get some voltage, then the op amp does everything it can to make sure that this input and the negative input are both the same, okay? And it does that by making this the same. So if you set this to 1 volt, then it wants to make the negative 1 volt, and then if the negative terminal is 1 volt, that means that because we have a wire here, the output is 1 volt, which means that we are outputting 1 volt. And then if we turn it up to 10 volts, then this thing goes up to 10 volts. So here's a power supply. The op amp might not be able to deliver much current, but we certainly can build a power supply like this. And so this is our voltage control knob. And if we have a power supply, if we have only a power supply that's need to be 100 milliamps, I mean, you can get op amps that do 100 milliamps. You can get op amps that do higher than that. So you could build a power supply just like this, okay? So this is your load, and this is your power supply. So we're done. All right, so but what if our op amp can't supply enough current? Well, then we can go to this circuit, okay? This circuit is exactly the same. We're going to be able to set the voltage using the op amp, but we need to have more current, right? And so we're going to use this transistor as a buffer to generate more current, right? Now, if we want a particular voltage here, let's say we want 1 volt right here, okay? If we set this to 1 volt, then the op amp does everything it can to make sure that the plus and the minuses are both 1 volt, and 1 volt comes in here. So it's going to say, okay, I'm going to do anything that's over here, I'm going to make sure this is 1 volt. And so it will output some voltage on its output. After it goes through the resistor and after it goes through the transistor, it will end up being 1 volt. And so this allows the transistor to supply more current. And then this feedback path allows the circuit to regulate this voltage, okay? So if we have if we want to have 3 amps, then we choose a transistor that can handle 3 amps, and then we feed back this around, and now we have a power supply that can handle 3 amps. This may look vaguely familiar with the op amp series I did, where there's a push-pull configuration here, or some of the amplifier series that I've talked about, where there's a push-pull here. Well, remember, in this particular case, we're only going one direction. It's only a positive voltage we're interested in. It's 0 to 30 volts, 0 to plus 30 volts. We're not doing anything with negative voltages. So we only need 1 transistor. We don't need 2 transistors. That's why you only see 1 here. But it's basically exactly the same idea as other circuits I've seen. And so this is the circuit that's used in the product here. All right, the next thing we need to talk about is this heatsink. Why do we have such a big transistor, and why do we have such a big heatsink? You know, it's only a couple amps. You know, why do we need such a big heatsink? And I claim that this heatsink is way too small for this design. And so why do I say that? So remember, our circuit uses that transistor. Actually, it's a Darlington. Those 2 transistors, but we'll just say it's 1. It's driving this into the load. Okay, so this is our load. Okay, so whatever current goes through here goes through the load. It goes through that transistor. So let's say we were going to design it for 3 amps. Well, we have a maximum of 3 amps going through here. And so you might say, okay, well, there's going to be some voltage drop across this transistor. So if we look up that transistor, you know, maybe it has a 1 volt, what's called VCE, collector emitter voltage, and this is a saturation voltage. We only have one 1 volt across here? Well, 1 volt and 3 amps. Okay, so power equals I. So we have 3 and we have 1, we have 3 watts. Okay, so you say 3 watts, well, that's not so much, you know. Why do we need such a heatsink? Okay, well, let's think of another case, though. This is plus 30, and we're building a power supply, and we're going to adjust it so that our output is 5 volts. So we want 5 volts at 3 amps across the load. Well, that means we've got 25 volts across the transistor. We have to drop 25 volts. Okay, so now you've got 3, but now it's 25, and guess what? That's 75 watts. That's a lot of watts, right? You're dissipating a whole bunch of energy in that transistor. So yeah, it can add up really, really quick, very, very fast. I should have zoomed in a bit here. And so, yeah. You have to get rid of 75 watts in this little tiny heatsink. Yeah, that's not going to cut it. So you need a very large heatsink with a lot of fins, and you do need that fan blowing on it, okay, if you're going to use this thing at its rated power. If you look at a lot of the old linear power supplies, this is a linear power supply, you look at like the old HP power supplies, they have a huge heatsink in the back. I mean, a huge heatsink, and that's because they're way over engineering it. They're worried about this 100 watts of dissipation they have to get rid of, right? Because there's no fan in those, there's just fins. So it's easier with a fan, but then fans fail, and then there's problems with that. I've got some power supplies that have fans in them. They're very, very noisy. I find them annoying. I don't like them. And that's why everybody has gone to switching power supplies. Switching power supplies are much more efficient, and they don't get hot and things like that. The other thing that power supplies, let me show you a power supply I have on my bench here. It's this one right here, okay? These are like 60 bucks or something, 40 bucks maybe, I don't know these days. This is a 3 amp power supply, okay? And so it's very much like the circuit we've got. It does 18 plus or minus 18 or plus 18 volts at 3 amps, all right? So let's do the calculations for that power supply. Okay, so it has a maximum of an 18 volt drop and a maximum of 3 amps. And so we have a maximum of 18 times 3 is 54 watts. 54 watts, okay? That's a lot of watts, all right? So in those designs, they're very, very clever. They still have a pass transistor, okay? And here's your load. But they have a transformer that looks like this, okay? They have 120 volts coming in, then they have a whole bunch of taps off the transformer, okay? So they might have an 18 volt tap, they might have a 12 volt tap, a 10 volt tap, an 8 volt tap, right? And then they have relays, okay? So they bring these into relays. Sorry, my relays look funny. So, depending on what voltage you're setting, let's say you're setting between 12 and 18 volts, then you use that tap. And then if you go to between 10 and 12 volts, it goes to that tap. And you'll hear them click. When you change the range of voltage on those power supplies, you'll hear clicking inside, and it's these relays clicking. So the reason they do that, let's say you want to get 5 volts here at 3 amps, right? Well, they'll click down to the 8, okay? And so now I only have to drop 3 volts, right? 3 volts between 5 and 8, and now 3 volts at 3 amps is only 9 watts. And so it really keeps things down, so having these fancy transformers with multiple taps in them. Unfortunately, this design, it's one size fits all. And so if it's a 30 volt, 0 to 30 volt 3 amp, yeah, then it can get up here to 90 watts, right? 30 times 3 is 90 watts. So you have to design this heatsink for 90 watts. And yeah, this little heatsink is not going to cut it. I would say right now, the way it's set up here without a fan, Yeah, it could probably do 5 watts, probably something like that, but not much more than that. And this thing's going to get super toasty. And then if you put a bigger heatsink on it and a fan on it and everything, yeah, you can get up to 20 watts, 30 watts. You need to have a really big heatsink if you want to get up to around the 50, 75 watt stuff. So anyway, that's the whole story about the about this big heatsink here, right? So be aware of that. So anyway, I hope that helps a little bit on choosing how many amps and how many. It's not so much the amps, right? We only need 3 amps, but they're choosing that transistor. They're choosing this. This is like a 12 amp transistor, but the reason they're choosing it is because it can dissipate the power, and so yeah. So that's the problem there. Okay, so let's end this video on what is actually used in the actual schematic, okay? So the actual, it's upside down, but the actual schematic. It is this. There is going to be some way of generating some voltage here. It's a potentiometer with a couple extra resistors and stuff. We'll see that later, but it's basically this, that you set some voltage, and then an op amp is used in this feedback loop, and this transistor is going to be used, and then the voltages that we output are going to be up to 30 volts, and we're going to be wanting a smaller voltage here. So let's say we want to put 10 volts here, okay, and 10 volts here will equal 30 volts out here. And so we take this and we put it through a resistive divider, and we'll bring it off. So now 30 volts here gets divided by 1/3, and now it's 10 volts here, and so it regulates, right? So it adds some gain to the system here, right? So 10 is equal to 30, and then our load's down here. So you'll see this in the circuit. Now, as I said before, this transistor needs to have a pretty healthy drive current, so it's not going to be able to do it all on its own, right? And so in a later video, we'll see that you need to have a Darlington configuration, and a Darlington configuration looks like this, where you have a helper. You have a helper transistor, right? So this transistor has to have 40 milliamps, and that has to come from somewhere, and the little op amps aren't able to generate 40 milliamps, and so you put in a helper transistor here, and it goes back out. So I can see that Darlington transistors are very, very common, and in the actual schematic we see that we have a Darlington pair being used here, okay? But the circuit is this, just this is actually taking the place of that transistor. Okay, there you go.